Senator John Dolan. You have 8 minutes.
Firstly, to very sincerely, it's becoming repetitious now, but still needs to be said, to thank Senator Paul Daly for bringing forward this legislation, or piece of bill. The title, Farm Safety Agency, I think, is a critical element of it, because there are businesses, there are workplaces, and there are even family businesses. But maybe someone lives over the shop. But in a farm, you live in the machine workshop, the machine shop. You're living where the work goes on. And that is the thing. And I think it is a precious thing to arrest people with that idea that, you know what, this as a place of work is not just a place of work. It's a place where people live. Run out to the car to get something, bring it in. You're going into the workshop. You're going into the place where the work happens. So I think that is a critical thing. The point has been made by Senator Riley and others. Children, and particularly a number of senators, have mentioned older farmers and isolation. It is really how there aren't more injuries and fatalities is to me a mystery. So there's a lot of elements that conspire to make this an important and focused piece of legislation. And I come from rural Ireland. I grew up on a pig farm, but that wasn't exciting enough for me. All the farms around were all dairy farmers, and that's where the action was. But there was no tractor. None of them had a tractor at that time. And I think when you take out the pony and the horse and you bring in, and it was the EU that fuelled all this, not to blame them, but getting into the EU, getting fertilisers on farms, improving production, speeding things up, getting credit, farmers being able to get credit and buy a little Mickey Mouse tractor for the first time and get a bit of a milking machine and whatever. All of these things, great things, and have put us right up there in terms of our exports and our reputation as an exporting nation. And for the first few years of the recession, the only good story we had in this country was our farming exports. We were down on our knees. Everything was gone wallop. So I make that emotional appeal and statement as well, that farming has served this country well. And it served us. It was the only thing we had going for us for those first few years to give us a chance to recover. I had my own experience of walking across the covered slurry pit, but I stood on a sheet of galvanised that was covering an ope. And the methane, I didn't know this at the time. I'm not that stupid. But I stood on the sheet of galvanised, lovely and shiny on the outside, totally corroded underneath. And only just I threw myself forward, they'd be looking for me. I'm thinking of a lovely nephew that I have now, who's crazy about farming. He's 12, and he'd be good at it. His grandfather as a young man, his grandfather only died 7 or 8 years ago, but his grandfather as a young man was mangled with a PTO shaft. He survived eventually, and I suppose a lot of it was down to his youth and his fitness. Another 10 years on. So we all have those stories, and they're bound up, and you can't keep too easily children from wanting to be active and be out and about. So look, I think it's important for us to struggle with this issue, and it's great that it has come into this House first, where we have a better tradition of chatting things out and hearing what other folk are saying. They just want to come back then to conclude. I do, and to emphasise, I think the title and then the branding about this, because it focuses on farming is a black spot when it comes to safety. And women who are more involved in farming now than they would have been, but as mothers, as daughters, as wives, are the ones that worry every day and every night when the lads are out, whether it's winter or summer, day or night. And we owe to them to give them a little bit more peace of mind by putting in more safety. Senator Marshall talked about changing the culture and the mindset, and that was very much around the women on the farms. Finally, Minister, I'm delighted that the government is supporting this. I was equally heard very well and positively what Senator Daly said. Look, it may not end up the way it starts. That's not the point. The point is that we get into this and we have it over and back, and we get a piece of legislation that will serve rural Ireland. Senator Daly at the start, and I wrote it down, he said, it can bring down a parish. These kind of things do bring parishes down. So it's not just a person or a family, it's a community thing. Gur Mágus, thank you all.